Well, welcome to another video of the DKS group. This one's going to be about DKS Sport. As mentioned on the Instagram post, was asked, why don't I put a video up and tell you about each facet of the business? So this is about sport. Now we work in two divisions, both sides of the fence, as we like to say. Our history as DKS Sport is probably the first business we set up. We had a sports business. Well, I was 13, 14 when I started competition sport, football, rugby, cricket, BMX racing. My brother joined in, and my father, obviously one of the other directors, was also into the motorsport. So we had the DKS Sport for a long time. The DKS Transport was my father's. But let's look at what we've done. Over the course of the years, we've hosted, run, promoted, sponsored, and basically owned sports companies, sports businesses, and race teams. We've hosted, promoted, and organised national, grassroots, and international motorsport. We've been involved in mountain bikes, we've been involved in cycling, running, athletics, cross country, equine, rugby, cricket, boxing, shooting, fishing, quite a lot. But let's look at the two sides of the business. The two sides of the business are, in some respects, both sides of the fence. So we start with the one which is what we concentrate on now. We work with businesses looking for a greater return on investment for their marketing and advertising budget. Everybody knows social media is free. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, they're all free. But when you start advertising, you start putting an ad on the radio, you start putting an ad in a magazine, it's kind of like it's expensive, and you've also got the activation costs. Well, this is where sport tends to help. Whether you partner with an athlete, a team, a venue, a championship, a promoter, a model, whichever, you've got that person working for you as an ambassador, as a representative, as a salesperson for your business. So you consider the options. You could spend £5,000 or £6,000 on an advert in a paper or a magazine, when in theory that money could go to an athlete or to a team. And you're going to go, but what do I get? Well, you get quite a bit. If you take one of our speedway riders, Carl Bickley, £5,000 will pay for some of his fuel for the year. But what you get is an ambassador. You get it on TV, you get it at various motorsports venues across the UK. He races 2 to 3 times a week in front of audiences from 500 to several thousand. He's also on social media. His team are photographed in various magazines. So you'll go, whoa, actually divide that £5,000 for the year. That's quite a lot. I'm getting quite a lot of return. There's obviously different levels you could go up to. We work in British motorsport. We work in international motorsport, DTM, British touring cars, British superbikes, equine. As ourselves, DKS Transport sponsor an equine facility because we get a good return on our investment. So I'd like you to consider, as a business, when you look at your advertising and your marketing budget, look at the customer demographic, look at what they do, where they are. Now today, as I said, I'm at a shooting ground. Now everybody here, obviously middle of the week, car park is full of 4x4s, Land Rovers, Range Rovers, Bentleys, pickup trucks here, there and everywhere. Most of us in corporate clothing, most of us are, businessmen. So if you were aiming at that kind of demographic, might be a good idea to put your 4x4 into a shooting ground. A clothing brand would do quite well in a shooting ground. So have a look at what you do, and that's where we come in. We either work for you, helping you make sure you get that good return on investment. We can manage your portfolio of athletes if you've got a bigger one, which we already do. And we can guide you, we can advise you, we can mentor you to make sure that you're getting that return on investment. So that's the bit where we work with the businesses. Now the other side is obviously the athletes, the teams and the venues. And you're going to go, and hang on a minute, you sit both sides of the fence. Yes, we do, because we know what the businesses are looking for. We know what they want as a return. That's why we work well with the athletes, the teams and the venues, presenters, models, commentators. If you remember me back in the day, I was a commentator, and it was quite a funny conversation. And I'll give you this top tip. There's only one person guaranteed to be on the podium, and that's the person doing the interview at the end. So having your name on the back of the commentator's kit, you were guaranteed to be in most of the photographs. Having your name on the backdrop, you were guaranteed to be on the podium. But this is where we help athletes. They all have to create a brand, they have to create their image, and they have to give a good fan experience. Now we work in, like we've said, we've got equine, we've got boxers, we've got rugby players, mountain bikers, cross-country running, clay shooters, we've got some fishermen, we've got obviously our motorsport bikes, cars, 2 wheels, 4 wheels, 4x4 in, adventure trails. There isn't much we don't get involved in, but it's all very simple. We work with the athletes, the teams, to make sure they build up. They've got a good proposal, they've got a good image, they've got a good brand that they put forward. Very simple, really. Now you're going to say, well, that works well and with the athletes and the teams. What about the venues? Well, some of the venues, like a golf course, will host events, but they'll also be there 24/7, their own club members and their own players. So you can do lots of things with a golf course. You might be able to sponsor a hole, which means you get your advertising on a bench or somewhere behind, you know, when they play it, and it will be listed on the board as you go in. Most golf clubs have a few thousand members. They're playing most days, and obviously that's a nice one. Football kits, rugby kits. Well, hang on a minute, that makes sense to actually have a stand or sponsor the stand or the venue, or to sponsor a particular match, match day sponsor, ball sponsor, mascot sponsor, hospitality sponsor. There's so much you can do with a venue that works more and more and more, and some venues are multifaceted. They do more than one event. Like take the cricket, we're involved in a cricket club. They have cricket matches, they have men's, women's and youth. They have corporate days, they have music events, and they have networking events. So you put a banner or a sponsor the stadium or you sponsor a stand, it's there 365 days. So we work with them to get their return, to actually work with the businesses that want to come in. Presenters, models, well, they're their own thing. You know that we look after a couple of fitness models, fitness professionals, but they also do a bit of modelling. We've got a couple of presenters that we help and we work with, and we've got a pool of athletes that we actually do their proposals, their profiles, and we work with them on their mindset with DKS coaching, and we work with them to build their brand, their image and their engagement. At the end of the day, that is DKS Sport. So you look at it as two ways. We work with the businesses to make sure they get a good return on their advertising and marketing budgets, and we put them in the right place. Different levels, like I say, you could sponsor a match ball, a match program in a local charity football match, 100, 150 quid. You could go right the way up to £100,000 an inch on a Formula One car. Up to you where you want to be, but obviously we can manage that. We can engage with you and say, well, look, this is what you want, this is your return. You've also got to activate it, but that's lots of other conversations. So hopefully that's given you a quick snapshot on the DKS Sport. I'm going to enjoy this afternoon because it's going to be pretty full on like it was this morning. So take care and we'll see you soon.